What's good YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Last Conditioning. Larry Wheels has relapsed once again. Steroids are stronger than him. Larry Wheels is back in the source, and to nobody's surprise, because why wouldn't it be? His whole image and brand is being the guy setting PRs and breaking records all the time, so why wouldn't he be back on? He was even caught being back on when he was doing a bodybuilding show earlier this year, so why would he not be doing it? It's to nobody's surprise that he actually starts using it again, because he cannot hold himself back from it. Him getting smaller and him not constant breaking PRs and so on and so forth, it's just, it doesn't feel good to him. He's constantly wants to chase this euphoric feeling, and he cannot have that without the steroids. In the video, Larry shows basically how fun and how cool it is to take steroids, so he's essentially glorifying taking them. This is not a good thing. He knows, and I know, there's a lot of young people who are watching him, and there are probably a lot of people who are on the fence about if they should take steroids or not, because a lot of people look up to Larry Wheels, and especially because of his strength. So if we see Larry blasting hella gear and then showing basically how cool and how fun it is, what it's going to do, it's going to nudge these people towards taking gear, and ultimately they probably don't know what they're setting themselves into in terms of taking gear, the potential repercussions that they can actually suffer from these steroids. We have seen Larry Wheels, he's only in his 20s, but when he was taking the most, he looked like he was almost 40. But people don't necessarily think about that, because they look at how big and strong Larry used to be, and then be like, well, I want to do that too. Larry is the perfect poster boy for steroids. If I was in charge of a company selling steroids and I wanted to increase my sales, what I would do is I would contact Larry and be like, hey, since you're making steroids look so cool and awesome, here, take some money, we will sponsor you, you just gotta peddle our stuff and then we will pay you. Because right now he's the perfect example of how strong and big and jacked you can be by blasting hella gear. And Larry's not talking about all the potential downsides, just only showing what could be in terms of your strength, size and power, and no negative effects from the steroids. That's completely neglected. It's not even part of the conversation. So right now he's the perfect example for a company that wants to sell steroids. So Larry is promoting all these steroids, and he's basically showing how strong you can be. When you're blasting hella gear like Larry, you also have a high chance of injury, just like what happened to Mike from the Twin Tins. He tore his pec, and Larry has in the past torn his bicep. Larry has been lucky that he hasn't torn anything else than that, when we think about how heavy he's training and how often he also tended to max out. When you max out, you're more prone to get injured, especially when you're taking steroids. So this is not a good combination of maxing out and then taking hella gear. You have a lot higher chance of getting injured, just exactly what happened to Mike. Mike will probably not be able to recover and be the same as before, whereas with Larry, since it was just a bicep and it wasn't a full-on tear, then he was a lot more likely to be able to return. It's a different thing when it's a tendon tear in your pec. That's a very different ball game. Thank you for watching, Last Conditioning.